Hello, we are starting a new chapter that is respiration in plants and part 1. Respiration is a phenomena which is very important for the earth and life. So as you have learnt in your earlier classes, in lower classes, that respiration and photosynthesis, they all are interrelated. Without photosynthesis, there will be no respiration, and without respiration, there will be no photosynthesis, because both are interdependent and both are very important for the sustenance of life. Now, the chapter in is dealing with respiration in plants. So, especially it is written here plants. Sometimes we also, when we breathe, we call that we are undergoing respiration. So, respiration is there in animals also? Yes, respiration is a part, very important part, which in animals can be divided into breathing and burning. Breathing is a physical phenomena where air is taken in and air goes out, and the burning is the part that is similar in both plants and animals. So this burning part will be the part where a food molecule or any molecule is broken down to give energy to the organism, whether it can be a plant or it can be animal. So here we will be talking about respiration in plants. The question arises, do plants breathe or not? So what do you think? Do plants breathe or not? Yes, so most of you will say that they breathe mm, at night only, but not during the day, or some of you you will say that no, they don't breathe. So I think up to class 10th we learned that yes, they do breathe. Okay, so they do not have a big nose like us or any other organs like animals. So they have what they have now. So yes, the plant require oxygen. Breathing means requirement of oxygen. So oxygen is needed for both, though they are preparing themselves, but they also need oxygen for respiration to occur. And there are some animals that do not need oxygen, but plants do need oxygen for respiration, and they also give out CO2. Hence, so it is clear that plants do breathe, but they do not have any organ. Okay, specialized organ like we have our nose and all the organs, associated organs, but they have stomata and lenticels. So stomata, we learned that they are small pores on the lower side, on the leaves, on the lower side, and mostly on the lower side of the leaf. There are several reasons why they do not have any respiratory organ. So what is the why they don't have nose like organ or a single system that is respiring? So it is because they have to take care of their own gas exchange needs. So each cell has to take care of its own gas. So very little transport of gas from one part to another take place. Secondly, plants do not present great demand. They do not have a very great demand for the oxygen. So because oxygen is a wasteful gas in them, so they take out the gas oxygen from them as a waste material. But So that's why there is not a great demand for the gas exchange. Only during photosynthesis there are large volumes of gas exchange. Each leaf is well adapted to take care of its own needs during this period. So when photosynthesize, availability of oxygen is not a problem because they are producing, and since oxygen is released within the cell, so there is no need of a system that will collect anything from outside. Okay. Now, third is the distance that gases must diffuse even in large bulky plant is not great. So there is no distance required. If you have seen, each living cell is a plant in a plant is located quite close to surface of the plant. This is true for leaves. You may ask, but what about thick woody stem? So if you have seen a woody stem, or you learnt in the earlier chapter where the lenticels are there. Lenticel, these are small leaf opening which are there all over the stem, woody stem. And these lenticels they are made from the bark, or they make bark, and they create small pores, and these pores they are in direct contact with the living cells. Okay, most of the interior cells are dead. You know that xylem cells, they are dead cells, and they are there only for mechanical support. So the cell that like parenchyma cells, they are in contact with the outer air. So that's why there is no need to have any such organ that will collect and that will transport the air or oxygen for breathing in plants. So these 3 points clearly explains why there is no respiratory organs in plants. So now we have come to the important concept. Now what is that? What is respiration? How will you define it? So the definition can be this, or the definition can be this. Let us see the first definition. Mechanism of breakdown of food material within the cell. Within the cell, this word is very important. Within the cell to release energy and the trapping of this energy for synthesis of ATP. So that's why we call this respiration as cellular respiration. Okay, so this is only a cellular respiration. The breakdown of carbon CC bond of complex compounds within the cell leading to release of energy. So there is a breaking. So it is a catabolic type of reaction called respiration. The compounds that are oxidized, they are called respiratory substrates. Whatever that breaks down to give a considerable amount of energy will be called respiratory substrates. Like we eat carbohydrates, if we eat carbohydrate, the carbohydrates they break down into smaller compounds, and due to the breakdown of this carbon bond, there is a considerable amount of energy release. Okay, so some other substrate can also be there. We will study in the coming slides. So first is the commonly available source of food is a carbohydrate. So let us learn about the carbohydrates. Carbohydrate, they are stored in the form of starch in the plant, and they are converted into glucose in most of the organisms. Especially in plants, we see that the starch or the sugar that is stored by the plant is in the form of sucrose, and it reacts with water to give glucose and fructose, and this glucose and fructose then enter into the process of respirations. The respiration mainly take place in mitochondria as well as in cytoplasm. First, the initial steps they take place in cytoplasm, but the later step that are important steps they take place in mitochondria. We learnt about mitochondria that it is called as a powerhouse of the cell. And why it is powerhouse of the cell, now you have clearly understood, because it is a site where respiratory apparatus are present and where respiration important steps take place. So mitochondria is a double membrane structure which has outer membrane and inner membrane. Inside it there is a space called as matrix which contains enzymes responsible for breakdown of these CAR-CC bonds and other important processes. Then there is intermembrane space which is due to the folding that formed by the inner membrane, and these foldings are called as cristae. So intermembrane space, this is very important. These membranes are important, just like we have learnt in photosynthesis. The thylakoid membranes are important. In the same way, the intermembrane space, the crista and the matrix, these all are very inner membrane is very important. So we'll know now in class 10th we learned that the respiration is made of, or we can categorize respiration in two ways. One aerobic, another anaerobic. So aerobic means there is a need of oxygen. Where oxygen is utilized, then we call it as a aerobic respiration. And where there is no oxygen is involved like this type of respiration is anaerobic. So we learned this in class 10. Then also this is a glucose, it breaks down into ethanol and water and small amount of energy. So there is no involvement of oxygen. So there is no oxygen, and because of that there is only a formation of ethanol and carbon dioxide plus small amount of energy. So we will first try understand anaerobic respiration, and then we will go for aerobic respiration as a continuous process. So without the involvement of oxygen, glucose break down and give rise to ethanol or other products and carbon dioxide, and so this is carbon dioxide and a small amount of energy. So let us understand the peculiar chemical reaction. This is only in yeast. So this reaction is taking place in yeast. Let us understand the detailed reaction now. So the anaerobic respiration is also called as fermentation, which is also called alcoholic fermentation, because the end product is C2H5OH, that is alcohol. And this is the oldest and best known type of fermentation performed by yeast and some bacteria. So in this process we will learn that there is a formation up to this. This is a first process that is called glycolysis will take place. Okay, we will learn this when we will learn the aerobic respiration. This is glycolysis process, and where there is a formation of 2-ATP, there is a use of 2-ATP, formation of 2-ATP and 2 NADH plus H plus, and finally we find that the pyruvic acid, this much of step or the glycolysis step is common in aerobic as well as anaerobic, but the change take place where at this junction. Here the pyruvic acid forms acetaldehyde first and then alcohol. Okay, and there is again a formation of 2 NADH. Okay, so NAD is being utilized. So here this NADH2 is used, and we'll learn that how NADH2 is used. So ATP NADH NADH2, one NADH2 will give rise to 3 ATP. It will give rise to 3 ATP, and we will learn that the final ATP production in or summarized production of ATP here is only 2 ATP. So if we calculate like this, 2 is used, 2 is produced, so this will cancel. Now we have NADH2, 3 ATP, so 2 NADH2 means how many ATP? 6 ATP are formed here, or will be formed here, 2 ATP, so total plus this, we have 8 ATP formed during glycolysis. So this will be same in aerobic and anaerobic. So after this there will be a change. Now this aldehyde is formed and there is a use of 2 NADPH. So 2 NADPH use means again 3 to the 6. 3 2s are 6. 6 ATP is used. So we have seen that there was a production of 8 ATP in glucose, but 6 ATP is being used. So we have net gain of only 2 ATP during fermentation. So it is not a good process because the energy produced is very less. Similarly, this is a lactic acid formation which take place in human muscles in absence of oxygen and in the lactobacillus in absence of oxygen. So up to this process is same. What is that process we just now called? This is what? Glycolysis. Okay, glycolysis we will understand again when we will understand. Okay, so glucose is being broken down into 2 pyruvic acid. One molecule of glucose break down into 2 pyruvic acids. So this is glycolysis. It is similar in aerobic as well as anaerobic. Both of them will have this process. Then after formation of 2 pyruvic acid in our muscles or the lactobacillus bacteria, the same pyruvic acid will get converted into lactic acid C3H6O3, and again there is a use of 2 NADH. So again we will find that there is a 2 ATP net gain in this also. So it is all here, no oxygen was used, but here oxygen was not there, minus O2, that's why this is formed. Now the important step, that is aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, this is the reaction of aerobic respiration. So glucose plus oxygen plus water to give rise to carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecules of water and 686 kilocalories of energy. So this is a reaction of aerobic respiration where the respiratory substrate is glucose. So this is called respiratory substrate, and here it is what? A carbohydrate, glucose. So aerobic reaction, so respiration is a redox reaction where chemical reaction that transfer, what are redox reaction? Chemical reaction that transfer electron from one substance to another, called oxidation reduction. So what is oxidation? Loss of electron. And what is reduction? It is a gain of electrons. So how it is going to happen? So let us see. Glucose will lose electron and hydrogen, so means it is going to undergo oxidation, and it will undergo oxidation to form carbon dioxide. Similarly, oxygen in a respiratory reaction, oxygen will get reduced, means it will gain electron and hydrogen at the end, and it will reduce to form water. And this oxidation and reduction is there in respiration. One is glucose is oxidized and oxygen is reduced to form water. And if you have understood photosynthesis reaction, you would learn that it was just opposite of that. Carbon dioxide was reduced to form glucose and opposite was there. But we don't want to take back there. So you have to understand only this. Glucose is going to oxidize to form carbon dioxide and oxygen will be reduced, means it will gain electrons and hydrogens to form water. So the metabolic pathway of cellular respiration are three. One, the glycolysis, the Krebs cycle and the electron transport. And the first step is called glycolysis. So in glycolysis, the glucose, this is a general map of the same. So glycolysis to give pyruvic acid, and this pyruvic acid is there in cytosol, and this pyruvic acid now enters into the mitochondria. So other reactions of aerobic respiration will take place in the mitochondria, Krebs cycle, and then electron transport. So whatever the NADH are formed during glycolysis will not give directly the ATPs, but they will travel to the electron transport system, and then only they will be converted into ATP. So uh, so you will all the ATPs will be produced after electron transport. Whatever NADH are generated by Krebs cycle will go to the electron transport, and then here there will be a formation of ATP. So these are just energy compounds, but they are released at after electron transport only. So this is a generalized structure of. So the step one is glycolysis, which is also called as EMP pathway. So why it is called EMP pathway, we'll try to understand. So glycolysis is the first phase of both aerobic and anaerobic. So it will take place in both of them. Glucose is converted into pyruvic acid by a series of enzymatic reactions. It was discovered by Embedin, Meyerhoff, and Paranas. So that's why it is called EMP pathway. It occurs in all living organisms, aerobic and anaerobic. Only stage which can occur without oxygen. It is oldest stage of respiration, operated for billions of years when there was no oxygen. Converts glucose to two pyruvates in cytoplasm. With oxygen goes to TCA cycle without converted into lactate or ethanol. And it yields only 2 ATP per mole of glucose in absence of oxygen. So this is the first how the stages will take place. Glycolysis breaks 6 carbon glucose into 3 carbon molecule. So let us see what is the structure. So if you see a structure, you will find the first is the glucose get converted into glucose 6 phosphate by the use of, this is minus, use of 1 ATP by the enzyme hexose kinase. Then glucose 6 isomerase, glucose 6 phosphate will isomerase to form fructose 6 phosphate, and fructose 6 phosphate then will get converted into fructose 1,6 by the negative, because being used, ATP is used. Then fructose 6 1,6 bisphosphate will get will get converted into triose phosphate like this. Again, these are triose phosphates. Okay, the triose phosphates are glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is a 3 carbon. Here they were 6 carbon, 6 carbon, and now they have been uh, converted into two interconvertible compounds, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and DHAP, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now, both of them, they are interconvertible. That's why the reaction will take place in this similar reaction will take place in this part also. So that's why it to make it easy here 2 is written. Okay. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will first converted into 1,3-phosphate by the, now this is positive because there is a formation of energy compound NADH. Then it will get converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. Again this is positive because there is a direct formation of 2 ATP. 3-phosphate phosphoglycerate will lose again to 2-phosphoglycerate and then phosphoenol pyruvate, and finally we have 3 carbon compound pyruvate. And here at the last step there is again formation of 2 ATP. Okay, 2 ATP because one is here, another is being formed there. So this is a full pathway that take place, and glucose is converted into 3 carbon pyruvic acid. So let us see again the calculations of ATP form. ATP formed at a substrate level, 4 ATPs are formed. Okay, where is 4 ATP? This is 1, 2 and 2, 4. ATP produced by NADH2. They are current coins. They are coins, and but they will be released into ATP only after EMP pathway. At ETS pathway. So how many NADH2 are produced? 2. So one NADH2 is equal to 3 ATP. So 2 is equal to 6 ATP. One NADH2 will always give rise to how many ATP? 2 ATPs. So that's why 2 into 3, 6. So 2 into 3 ATP. Okay. To what? NADH2 is equal to 6 ATP. Then consumed minus 2. So total is either 8 ATP, and in some book it is there as a 6 ATP. So this is there the final calculation of number of ATP formed, or net gain of ATP in glycolysis or EMP pathway is 8 ATP. And now you must be very very clear that in anaerobic and in aerobic respiration we have 8 or 6 ATP, but in anaerobic we have 2 ATP. Again we'll like to go to the anaerobic reaction that we have learned in earlier this. So in this, if you see this, you'll find this is a glycolysis up to pyruvic acid, and now it will convert it into this. And how many ATPs are formed in glycolysis? 8. Okay, 8 ATP. And how many are being used here? 2 NADPH means into 3 ATP. So 2 3 is 6. So how many ATP we are consumed? We have 6 ATP. The total only net gain is 2 ATP. So similarly, this will happen with the lactic acid formation also. Okay. So I think you have clarified yourself with this, and this is all. We'll go to the next pathway, that is Krebs cycle, in the next video. Thank you.